one of the big ones.
Oh.
But just like that, we have finished our 21 days on the Daniel fast. This is Monday the 22nd. This is actually the first update video that we've really done like in time as a weekly recap. And to be honest, this last week has really been the hardest I think that we faced on the Daniel fast.
Oh my goodness.
So let's rewind back to last Monday to show you what we were experiencing then. Welcome to all of East Tennessee's winter weather in 1 week. As fun as this is going to be, and you're going to see that in the coming clips, this may be our hardest challenge on the Daniel fast yet, and it had to come at the very last week that we're going to be on the Daniel fast. So, why are you so much more snowier than I am?
I have no clue.
You seem to pick it up way easier.
Right? Maybe it's my jacket material versus your jacket material. Like mine's just really for pretty. Yours is actually a work outside jacket. So maybe that's the difference. Get out of my garden. We don't walk in those beds, bub. Yes, we do. No.
This is going to be our hardest time on the Daniel fast is because like everybody else that's experiencing this weather right now, we'd really like something hot to drink. But hot water just doesn't sound like it would hit the spot. But I do think we'll have a solution for lunch and probably dinner that will help out on a day like this. Just like that, we've got vegetable soup in a pan or a pot that's way bigger than it probably needs to be, and chili in a more reasonably sized pot simmering on the stove. And we've also got Daniel, woo, that's a lot of steam. Daniel fast friendly fries going in the oven. It's just potatoes and some olive oil. But I think this is gonna take some of those wintertime snowy blues away. And the snow just keeps falling. More and more. This is the most snow that we've seen since we've lived here and just really in a long time. And I set the fire alarm off. I may have also messed our house up a little bit by moving our whole dining room table and all the chairs into the hallway so that we could sit on the couch, watch some YouTube, and also be able to watch the snow. Though you can't really see it as clear as you did before we started making 2 different soups and created a ton of steam in the kitchen. But I think it was still worth it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Even though we could have just flipped the chair around and been able to see the snow on the other side of us, it's a lot more fun to just leave the house somewhat like it was and be able to see the snow at the back, where you also don't see the road.
Exactly. Though it is quite entertaining to watch people drive up the hill.
Yeah, people are still trying, and some are making it.
Just barely.
Yeah. You make the best Daniel fast fries that I've ever had.
Well, and bread and Mexican bean patties.
But it turns out, whatever limitations you give us in cooking, we'll just make good food.
Yeah.
So, it can be done even on the Daniel fast, even when you have very limited things you can do. Olive oil, potatoes, and a few seasonings. Great oven fries.
Literally, just salt and pepper, and like, they're delicious.
Yeah, and then you dip them in the chili, which is our homemade ketchup, our in-house ketchup. That's a joke from forever ago when we were in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and the lady brought us ketchup, and she's like, "This is our special house-made ketchup," and it was not good. It tastes like applesauce. And she asked her, she's like, "Do you have any other ketchup?" And the lady was very offended.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to eat applesauce on my French fries.
It wasn't good. The chili, though, that's what you want on your French fries. Those were really some interesting times for us. That kind of stuff where we live just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We don't get 6 to 8 inches of snow ever.
Yeah. It just does not happen.
From everybody that we know we talked to, this is like a 30-year storm.
Yeah.
And so that was just the icing on the cake to finish the Daniel fast off with a real challenge at a time when you want hot drinks, not iced coffee, but just hot coffee would have been so good, or even a hot tea.
Yeah.
Something like that would have just made that so much better.
And a nice hearty soup.
I think the soups that we made, they just saw we had the vegetable soup and we had the chili, and I think that actually was really good. And the fries were the best thing that we discovered on the Daniel fast. That became a crutch a little bit in the last week, and we didn't want to crutch through this, and we did really good the first 2 weeks. And the last week, it was just too easy not to crutch because of the weather, because everything that was going on. I mean, we got home from church Sunday night at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, like we normally do. And then we did not leave again. I did not leave again until 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. And you didn't leave until like 5 o'clock the following Friday. It was the first time you were out of the house. And so that makes already restricting your diet and the stuff that you would enjoy on a snow day makes it just a little bit harder. And so we're very happy to be off the Daniel fast. As good of an experience as it was. And I highly recommend that you try it. I'm definitely not going that direction.
Yeah.
But we're glad to be off of it. And we've actually already had our first meals off the Daniel fast. You started the day, you just couldn't help yourself. We had to have biscuits, which was wonderful.
Yes.
A great thing to start the day off with. And then for lunch, you actually pre-made food yesterday.
Yeah. Which was really hard on you, and I'm so sorry.
It just made the house smell like chicken for the rest of the day. And you made it between church services, and we get back from the light service, and all I can smell is like, this smells like chicken now. And you've still got 3.5 hours until we can eat anything like that. But no, it wasn't the worst thing, but it definitely didn't make it easy on the very last day to smell what you're going to eat for lunch that. But we had street chicken tacos for lunch today, and those were great.
All the delicious fixings.
Of course, we didn't get video of that, but what we did get video of is what we had for dinner today, so you should check that out now.
Yep.
So you were the one that really wanted steak and things more than I did. So what do you think? How happy are you with your meal so far, even though you only had a few bites?
12 out of 12. I have missed meat so much. This is absolutely delicious.
I have to agree with Bree. It is great. This food tastes delicious. Steak, honestly, not my favorite. That's why we've got some shrimp and some other things on here. But the thing really is it comes down to is there's two things that you realize is one, food is food, and this is good food, but it's not like, oh my gosh, this is 1,000 times better. I think it's variety that makes things a lot better, especially after you do something like the Daniel fast where you don't have a lot of variety. And the other thing is texture. Beans and other things like that are great, but you just don't get the same texture that you do with meat.
That's where I think you and I are just a little different because that food.
Did it really affect you?
Yes.
I enjoy this coffee, but when I look at it at the end of this, I'm like, it's just food. Like I don't know how to describe it. I'm like, this is good food. These are good things, but I think it's the variety. It's just missing out on them is not enjoyable. But I don't think they're so much better than what we ate when we were on the Daniel fast. But maybe I'm just weird.
I think maybe just a little weird. I love you, but there are certain things from the Daniel fast that I really enjoyed, like the French fries, but also those Mexican bean burgers were quite delicious. And then I made a spaghetti at the end.
Yeah.
That was all Daniel fast friendly and everything, but there were some really good meals in that. But this, it just hits different.
But I'm not a big steak person. To me, that's what it was. The tacos earlier were great, but I don't know. I haven't had something that I was like, oh, I miss this so much. You even made cookies, and I've not really been to that regard with the cookies yet.
That was good. I ate a cookie. It's good stuff.
But I feel like it was still worth it. And we've already seen God do so many things since we've started the Daniel fast. We've been able to connect with people. If you listen to our podcast and things like that, then you know that we're trying to plant a church in the town that we live in. And because currently the church that we go to is a couple towns over. Yeah. It's about a 30-minute drive. And in cities like this, where there's a lot of churches, but not a lot of truth, then people end up wanting to just settle for a church that's really close to them versus driving further for a better church. And so what we want to do is bring truth to a place that we see is lacking in some areas. Yeah. And so that's why we want to plant a church here. But we've already seen God making connections, allowing us to meet new people, be able to interact with people in a better way. And that's something that we've been praying about. And so we've seen it through prayer. And I believe that we've seen it through the sacrifice of the Daniel fast of just that connection with God, which is exactly why we did it. We did it because we have a burden for our city and we want to reach people. And I think that we see it already paying off greatly.
Yes, the sacrifice was 1,000% worth it. And for all the benefits that we're reaping from it, all the connections and everything, like, I'd do it again. A little break first, you know.
Maybe about
I gotta recoup.
11 months.
Yeah. I gotta recoup.
I mean, you did just ruin the close to the video because I was going to come and be like, so, would you do it again? But the answer is yes, she would do it again.
Yeah, I need a little time before I can.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I'm the same way. Like, I want to take a break. There's other challenges and other things that I want to push on because I want to talk about this in either a later vlog, later podcast, some later format that says, don't lose the momentum. Because I feel like a lot of Christians are working this time of year towards things and doing things they wouldn't normally do. And they've gained momentum and they've gained a closer relationship with God. But when that mark of January 31st rolls by and we end up in February, a lot of people are going to lose that momentum and they're going to go back to the way things were before. And we don't need to lose that with God. We need to stay connected with God.
Yeah, and I think, because we're already here, a good way to do that is to change up what you're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Still have that dedication and a plan going forward, but like we had the Daniel fast. So we're having a little reprieve, but we're still keeping with all of our other things where, you know, reading the Bible and praying first thing in the morning to the best of our abilities. You know, we're all human, but keeping that up and then starting with something else. And that for us really is the Bible study coming up.
The Bible study that we'll be teaching,
yes.
not doing. But yes.
There's only so many beans you can take, y'all.
She was like, I'm done with legumes. I don't want to see them. I don't want to cook them. I don't want to eat them.
I don't want to smell them. I don't want. I'm done.
And we honestly were eating beans for a good portion of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, anyways, we would eat like black bean tacos and things normally, and so it was just another level near the end of like eating beans. And she was like, okay, especially I think this last week where we were locked in the house, and the majority of what we had on hand after using a week's worth of groceries, because we were a week behind on grocery shopping because of the storm.
Yeah.
It made a difference on what she wanted to eat. And I will say, we're talking about answered prayers. I did pray that it would snow. And we've always said we want one real snow, but we didn't know what that meant. And so those people up north, they can keep the real snow.
Yes.
I'm glad God answered prayer, that he proves himself, but I don't think I'm ever going to need to ask that one again. But that really does do it for the Daniel Fast 2024. And it's such a mixed bag because it was kind of slow, but it was also kind of long. It's one of those interesting things that goes that way. But I do want to mention, though, that we did do this different than a lot of people do. A lot of people will go a little bit more open in their interpretation of how to do the Daniel Fast. And I think the first time you do it, that's not a bad thing. The first time that we did it, albeit 5 years ago, it was different. We did introduce some different things. We did try some of the different vegan meals and things like that because other people were doing it and we wanted to try it. But this time, as we read the passage, we wanted to go for what it really said. We wanted to do like Daniel did. We wanted to only drink water, and we wanted to only eat fruits and vegetables and natural things. We didn't want to have preservatives. We didn't want to have a lot of additives and things like that. We wanted to get as close to the real thing that Daniel did as possible. And even then, there's a good chance when you read it that he may have not even ate these things cooked as meals. He would have had a lot harder time than this. He may have been eating simply raw fruits and vegetables for his meals. And so we still had it a little bit easier probably than he did, but we made it a little bit more difficult on ourselves on purpose. But there's countless books, countless websites that tell you Daniel Fast friendly things, and they may look a little bit different than what we did, but you need to figure out what's going to work best for you. And in this case, we wanted to go as strict as possible and not do a lot of the pre-made things. And so that's what we did. But I highly recommend that if you're trying to fast, but you struggle to do the long daily fast, like you try to fast for one whole day or something like that, and you struggle with it, this is a great thing to do. It does take you a lot longer, but it's also a good way to break a lot of the addictions that you have in your life and don't realize. I mean, we talk about the fact that we shouldn't be on stimulants as Christians, and one of the biggest stimulants out there is coffee, and people are highly addicted to it. And this is one of those things that can help break that addiction that you have in your life. And so there's so many benefits to the Daniel fast. Mostly we want to seek after the spiritual, but we can't deny the other benefits that are going to come out of it as well, like our health and like the fact that we can break chains of things that bind us in this life. So I highly recommend that you try the Daniel fast, that you do the research and you find the way that's also going to work for you, because you don't want to fail at this. You want to find the things you're going to enjoy, the things you're going to like, and maybe even try some of the recipes before you dive fully into the Daniel fast to ensure your success. That's what we've done in our lives, and it worked for us, and we're so glad that we did it, and we hope that you'll give this a try too, because I know that you'll see rewards from it in your own life. But be sure to subscribe. We're going to do a lot more content this year. I've already got ideas for the next videos. I'm going to be doing some exercise stuff and talk about how I balance that with spiritual exercise and my mindset on those things. I've got some things to talk about, like about books, about reading, other challenges that we want to do. There's going to be so much great content on this channel every year, because one of the other challenges I gave myself this year wasn't just 21 days on the Daniel fast, but was to put one of these videos out, some kind of vlog style content every single week. And we're hoping to do that. So we hope you'll join us for that journey, and hopefully we'll get better at it and not do such a long talking head segment in the future. But we hope to see you in the next video, and definitely also check out our podcast, which is in the links below. Until we talk to you again, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and God bless.